Hi everyone, my name is Molly W. Schenck, and I am one of the 2019 collective cohort members. Before I start talking about my final project, I'm going to take a moment for some mindfulness. So wherever you are, take a moment to look around your space, orient to your space, taking in colors and textures and shapes and shadows, and depending on where you are, ignore the pile of papers that needs to be filed or the laundry that needs to be done. We're judgment-free, we're staying curious, taking that inventory. And then once you feel you've oriented to the space, turn that inventory inward. Right? Check in with your body. Can you feel the surfaces below you? Are your feet on the ground, back in the chair? Can you feel your breath? I'm going to be talking about trauma and sexual violence today. So if at any point you feel that you're getting activated, feel free to pause the video and use any of these tools. Orient to the space, ground in the body, feel the breath. In 2007, I was writing, directing, and choreographing an original performance titled It's Not That Simple. It was the night before our opening weekend, and we had just finished our final dress rehearsal. One of the performers raised his hand and said, "I feel like shit. I'm normally a really happy, optimistic person, and I haven't been since working on your show." Another performer raised her hand and said, "I've been having nightmares that I have been raped, and I've never had a sexual experience in my life." A third performer raised his hand and said he would have dreams about reaching out to help someone, and his hands would turn to dust. I later learned that this was vicarious or secondary trauma, where we take on someone else's trauma. I continue to create work around sexual violence on college campuses since 2007. I believe in the transformative power of the arts to create positive change. I have experienced it, I have witnessed it, I have studied it. I have worked to refine my process to reduce the impact of vicarious and secondary trauma. I was consulting with a school last year about the creation of a performance that involves sexual violence, and I made some comment about there really should be some kind of trauma-informed creative practices protocol so that we can follow that throughout the rehearsal process, bring it into a performance weekend, and take care of our audience as well. So I did what any millennial would do. I asked Siri, and the information that came back was very much in a clinical realm of arts-based therapy degrees and certificates and training programs, but there is nothing specific to vicarious and secondary trauma in creative spaces. So I have created that program. Trauma-informed creative practices training is for educators, facilitators, and arts-based leaders who wish to reduce the prominence of vicarious and secondary trauma in their creative spaces. In April, I led an 8-hour free trauma-informed creative practices training. Over half the participants were community members. It made me realize how transferable this work is. And as I reflect on it, I realize how transferable it has been in my own life. It has transformed me through this trauma-informed lens as an educator, as an artist, as a friend, as a human being. Everything I look at has changed. I'm seeing the conversation around trauma and creativity become more mainstream. Filmmakers in New York have counselors on set. Theater companies in Chicago are discussing harm reduction in their rehearsal spaces. And here I'm building energy around trauma-informed creative practices. My next trauma-informed creative practices trainings will be for educators in dance and in yoga. Additionally, I have been doing more writing on trauma and creativity and have submitted 2 book proposals about it. My next steps are to build an online training platform where trauma-informed creative practices can be shared with the masses at a low to no cost. I am seeking funding and connections. Funding to support the digital content creation and website development, and connections to expand the reach of trauma-informed creative practices programs to educators, facilitators, and arts-based leaders in a variety of fields. Thank you to the collective for inspiring the launch of this work, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Take care of yourself.